I'm Laura Faye. I'm the host of Wytpods, and today we have a special guest with us. We have Molly from Molly Bees. Molly, welcome. I'm looking so forward to speaking with you.
It is so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Let me just jump right into it. Why don't you share with me a little bit about yourself and your journey? How'd you get here?
Wow, it has been quite a journey. So I actually am in Alaska right now. I live in Alaska, and I lived in a little tiny rural town of just 3,000 people, and I found myself down to my last $150. I was a single mom and had to completely start my life over at 45 years old. And I had to figure out how I was going to feed my son. So I started making really weird gourmet cookies, and they just took off like a rocket. I started doing like 20 boxes a week just on Facebook, like who's having a birthday or whatever, and people would buy. And then all of a sudden it blew up to 45 boxes a day. I had been shouted out by BuzzFeed. And from there, we went into like little coffee shops. And then I had to move to the big city of Anchorage and had one bakery help me. And then I had two, then three, then four. And then I had to find a co-packer. So I Googled cookie factory because I'm thinking Willy Wonka in my head, and actually 3 years into it, I launched nationally. So now in 3 years, I became a national brand. And it's just been, obviously, there's a lot of information in between there that got me to that place. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. It's been amazing.
Oh, I love that. That is amazing. That is a success story right out of the gate. I love it. Tell me about your business. Tell me about these cookies.
Sure. So it was really important to me to like have a really good, soft, yummy cookie. I actually started before even Crumble did. We were like the first to the gate as far as putting fruity pebbles on your cookies or all these things. And so mine are actually individually wrapped. So, and there's always my stories on the back. So I really want to inspire people that they can start over at any age. So it's on there, tells about it. And, we're the very first gourmet individual wrapped cookie to hit stores in America. So you can have like some of the other ones that are not gourmet that are just like your basic chocolate chip or whatever. But mine are like this one, to be cordial, is Martino cherries with amaretto extract in it with 0 alcohol, but it tastes like amaretto, and then semi-sweet chocolate. So this one tastes like Christmas, really. But anyway, and I have 9 different flavors. And then we also have a whole line of boba doodles too, which are little bags of little bite-sized cookies with a different flavor of boba in them.
Okay, I'm hungry. Actually, I'll take it a step further. I'm not hungry. I'm craving these cookies now, which is even more powerful.
I love it. Let's get you some cookies.
We need it shipped like within hours.
We'll overnight you.
Right, overnight works. What would you say is your best-selling cookie?
So right now, the Straight Fire, let me see if I have one here. I do. The Straight Fire cookie is our best seller. It used to be the Boss Man, which had bacon on it. We have fresh smoky bacon, but the Straight Fire, what I do every year is I look at what the food trends are at the beginning of the year, the top 10 food trends, and then I take 2 or 3 of them and I turn it into a cookie. So when I did this one 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it was a s'mores was on. So this is my rendition of s'mores. So we have graham cracker crumbs, semi-sweet, and then I put a big, huge marshmallow on top. Here, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Sorry, the packaging's a little noisy, but
salivate. I got it.
We'll get into it. So see the bottom is not like, there's no darkness or whatever. And
Right.
you can see the marshmallow right on top there. And then they're very soft and gooey and delicious. And then here's a hack. Stick it in your air fryer for like 2 minutes and it's unbelievable. So good.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. So would you say, because there's so many different cookies out there and so many brands, what would you say is the number one thing that differentiates you?
That we are gourmet. So, and it's weird because when I started this business, I didn't know I was going to be competing with the big kids like Chips Ahoy and Tate's or all these bigger brands, because I'm just me, Molly from Alaska. I didn't anticipate that was going to happen, but I'm on the shelf next to them now. So it is a thing. So, but mine are different. Like we have one that has hot Cheetos. It's called the Hot Mess, and it's sun-dried mangoes with white chocolate. And then we roll it in hot Cheetos before we bake it. So just having the innovation and new fun flavors is what makes us really stand out.
Yeah, just listening to you, I've never heard of cookies like that. They all sound so good. I keep thinking of my son who's into all of these gourmet things too. I'm definitely getting him some, but that's beside the point. So you started out and then you were getting 45 orders a day, and
Yeah.
obviously word of mouth. Oh my God, you have to try these cookies. But what
Yeah.
have you found to be your most effective marketing strategy out of everything?
So I think it has been the endorsements that I've gotten that have just been organic. So like being on BuzzFeed and, blasting that out on my social media, like, oh my gosh, we were featured on BuzzFeed. But then from there, I am the reason they came up with clickbait on the internet. So if it's clickbait, I'm like, oh, what's that? I got to have one of those. And that's a cute person. But there was this thing that said Forbes was looking for people for their startup hub. This was back in 2019. And I thought, I'll just apply for that. Why not? If they tell me no, I'm right where I'm at. Right. So I went ahead and applied for that and I got accepted. And so I went to the Detroit 30 under 30 and I'm like, I am not under 30, you guys. They're like, no, this startup hub is different. I said, okay. So I got to go there and meet influencers and things. And that started kind of the ball rolling. Having that Forbes endorsement was huge. I was one of the top 150 startups of 2019. And then we got a Food Network star on our team, Chef Brian Duffy. And then from there, I got every once in a while I would check my spam mail on my email. Do you ever do that to see like who's trying to get a hold of me?
Yeah.
And it was something like, you've been invited to have your product at the Oscars. And I'm like, come on. Like, that's so ridiculous, but I'm going to just see. So I'm like, tell me more about this. And so they did. And it turns out it was legitimate. And so I got to fly to LA during 2020. So we had to mask up or whatever, but I got to be there and they used my cookies. I went to the gifting suites and I met a bunch of stars that I didn't know who they were, but they just loved cookies and that's all that mattered. But then that night I'm on TV and I'm watching these people get Oscars that loved my cookies. So that was pretty neat. And so from there, then once you're in one of those, then they invite you to the other one. So then I got to the Emmys and then to the Grammys, and then Wheel of Fortune contacted me and said, can we have you on our wheel? I was on the wheel I don't know, like 30 times that Pat Sajak would say, you've won Molly B's cookies, or whatever. And it was cookies and milk, which is a fun little combo and just things like that. So it's just like endorsement after endorsement after endorsement that has just been incredible. It's been amazing.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. How many people have that story with any kind of product, nonetheless a cookie? That goes to show you how unique it is. It must be incredible. That's awesome. I love this story.
Check your spam mail.
So tell me, because I know that your journey did not go without challenges. What has been your biggest challenge and how did you overcome that?
The biggest challenge is people taking advantage of you. When they see that you're starting to do really well, you get reached out by people. And, just recently I had to deal with this and someone said that they would be an amazing advisor for me and help me because they would have been through, they had worked for bigger companies or whatever. And so I really wanted that advisement. I thought that would be a great partnership to have with him or whatever. And he just dropped off after he was going to help me. And then once we got into Costco and into Walmart and all these things, he turned up again and said, here's my contract. And he wanted 1% of all my sales. He wanted 1% of my company every year until I exit. Plus he wanted 3% of all my Walmart. I sent it to my COO and I'm like, I feel like this is he's trying to take advantage of me. He said he absolutely is, and so we had a hard conversation and I like him. I thought he's the nicest guy ever, but it was just, I can't do that. That's not a smart business move, but that happens on a pretty consistent basis of you really have to have the right core team, or else you're going to get taken advantage of.
Absolutely. That's so true in life, even not in business, but personal. You need to have the right team surrounding you, friends, family, spouses. Absolutely. Yep. So very true. That's a really good point. So you've accomplished so much already. Where do you see yourself years from now? Do you have a long-term goal? Are you out where you want to be?
So I plan to exit in 2027. Okay. And with that exit money, I've already started a nonprofit called the Blakely Foundation. And what we're doing with the Blakely Foundation is I've started an academy that has been approved by the state of Alaska, because that's where I still am. Mm-hmm. And it is entry-level academy. So it's teaching kids that they've aged out of foster care. They don't have anywhere to go because the people who were fostering them aren't getting money anymore. So a lot of times they just kick them out, and then you have homelessness because they weren't trained. They don't know what's going on. They just, a lot of these foster kids, it's not their fault what they're into. So, or what's happened to them. Their circumstances, not something that they ever signed up for. So this will give them housing, and then it's going to teach them every single part of the restaurant. So every 3 weeks they learn a different thing. They'll do hostessing, then they'll do serving, and then they'll do prep cook, line cook, and even how to start their own brand. And it's a whole course for a year, but it will also give them housing. And then in the end, we give them a suit or an outfit. We help them with their resume. We will have people that own restaurants and things come in and vet employees, because people need employees right now. And even furthermore, they need trained employees. So it's called the entry-level program. And that is where I will be putting my passion into as soon as I exit.
I absolutely love that. You are such a unique individual. I love your whole personality. I love the name of the cookies. Your cookies sound delicious. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share all of that with us today. And I have no doubt that you're going to be successful in anything that you do. And I'm going to be placing an order for those cookies.
Oh, thank you. Well, God gets the glory in everything I do. Without him, I'd be lost. So
that's so
absolutely
so true. Thank you so much, Molly. It's been
thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
It's been fun. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.